Hello and welcome to the Share It with Ishani podcast, where I share stories of people from around the world to educate, empower, and inspire you all. And I'm Ishani Gupta, radio anchor and a public speaking coach. Here's a reminder, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I bring you one episode every Saturday of my podcast. And besides, my channel also shares public speaking tips. So definitely you want to subscribe to my channel for all the valuable content that I have on table for you. Today we have a very special guest from the UK. She is the author of her book, her very first book, The Whole Human, Integrating Wellness in Modern Life. So please welcome Luna. Hi Luna, how are you doing?
Hi, yes, I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm so excited to see you, to have you here and share your knowledge about wellness, well-being, and Ayurveda. And let me tell you that the Indian audience, we are so deeply connected to Ayurveda because this is where we had the origins of this Ayurveda. So this is really exciting to have you talk about this particular topic. So can you tell our viewers that when did you get introduced to Ayurveda basically?
Yeah, so I actually heard about Ayurveda in the depths of Ecuador. I was actually on another retreat, and there was a lady there who was is an Ayurveda practitioner. And I went to one of her talks, and for me, light bulbs came on in my head. I was like, this explains me so much. And yeah, because it really sort of seemed to come to the root cause of what was going on, because my physical health wasn't so great. I suffered from irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, sort of fatigue, brain fog, anxiousness, and it combined all of these physical and mental attributes that I was experiencing and seemed to explain them at a root cause level. And so yeah, I heard about all of this in Ecuador, and I became very excited about it. Which is why I went over to India to study it.
Wow, that's so amazing. So basically you came to India, and where were you living when you came to India, and where did you get all your teachings from?
So I found a beautiful little clinic in Tamil Nadu, outside Coonoor, in the mountains, in the tree plantations. And it's a beautiful region. It was so lovely there. It was really nice. And so I found I was looking for a full-time course in Ayurveda because I for some reason I really wanted to study it and understand it in a lot more depth. And this is one that I found that did a proper course in it beyond like 1 or 2 weeks. So this one was a few months long. And I also had the opportunity to actually live at the clinic as well, so I could see the patients and see what was going on day-to-day basis. So I thought it was an amazing opportunity. And so that's where I was in India, and it's called Mountaintop Clinic. It's a beautiful little clinic, and Dr. Sundar there, so he has a clinic with inpatients that stay a few weeks, 4 weeks, and also has an outpatient clinic as well in the town of Coonoor. Obviously that's all online at the minute, but or mostly online at the minute. So
wow, that's so great. So now that you have so much knowledge on Ayurveda, do you plan to teach people, or are you already teaching people? Can you tell me something about that?
Yeah, sure. So I've spent about 6 months studying Ayurveda, and quite frankly, I feel like I touched the tip of the iceberg. As you and probably many of your viewers are aware, it's in India, you study it to be a doctor. So it's like 5 years, sometimes 7 years. So in comparison to this knowledge, I feel mine is still very, very basic. So when I began studying it, I did it actually with the intention of on being able to help other people. As I got into it, I found actually I need some of this help myself. I need to focus on myself first. As I really got into it, and identifying all the root causes of things, I was like, yeah, actually I need this myself first. I need to sort myself out first. So then it became much more of principles for me to apply in my everyday life. And that took some adjustment, actually, because a lot of it's sort of a different lifestyle. A lot of it's like, it's diet, which requires a little bit of sort of education and learning over time, and some lifestyle, which requires, it's adapting your daily habits and things like that, which took some time to adjust to. And over time, obviously, I noticed the benefits, and it's been really helpful and beneficial for me in my daily life. And I did think once when I was feeling a lot better and my physical and mental health were a lot better, I did think about becoming a sort of, I was calling it an Ayurveda lifestyle mentor. I didn't really know how to call myself, and I realized that whilst Ayurveda will always be a part of my life, and the philosophies behind it will always be a part of my life, it's the one-to-one coaching really wasn't for me. So then I left that and moved on to other things. It was a beautiful and amazing experience to be able to study it in a lot more depth than I think Westerners traditionally get to do, and also to live at the clinic was amazing as well.
Yeah.
So and it really transformed my whole view of medicine. The way that it's practiced there is extremely traditional. A lot of the herbs are either picked from local or sourced, and the medicines, that some of them are made in-house. So I learned how to make those in-house. Not sure I can remember now.
Wow.
And it was all in a very traditional sense, and really made me have an appreciation for this ancient wisdom, because there's so much art goes into it, a lot of time,
Absolutely.
a lot of effort, a lot of love, and it really gave me a whole new appreciation for this world of Ayurveda.
That is so true, because there was a period where all these allopathic medicines started growing so much, and somehow the attention was moved away from Ayurveda to other medicines like allopathy. I'm not against anything. I'm just saying that this was the case. But somehow I would like to point out one thing, that in India, we have medicines available in our homes. We have turmeric. Turmeric has such tremendous medicinal properties. And if there is a bruise, if there is a cut somewhere, then you can definitely apply that and you'll be good to go. We use turmeric with milk. If there is some kind of pain in body, that also gets relieved. So Ayurveda is really amazing, and we have medicines available just in our homes. The food that we prepare every day, that includes this Ayurveda and everything.
Yeah, and because in Ayurveda, food is medicine, right? So what you're cooking with, and spices, and the type of vegetables, and the grains and things, that is your medicine. It's a different form of medicine. It's preventive medicine, to prevent you getting sick in the
Absolutely.
first place. Yeah, preventive medicine. Yeah, and so it's Ayurveda has a lot to say in that, like putting it into your home as part of your daily life, daily cooking, daily eating. Ayurveda has a lot to say on that. A lot that's really helped me benefit, especially with irritable bowel syndrome. Following an Ayurvedic diet has really helped, calming my stomach, and the other practices as well. But it's really helped to alleviate that, and it's really helped to work not only at the symptomatic level, also at the root cause level. And so I do think it has a lot of really amazing lifestyle advices.
Yes.
And, I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to, I'm not saying everyone should follow Ayurveda, you make your own choices.
Yes.
I do feel that the focus, the natural focus on root cause and preventive medicine is, well, who doesn't want to stay healthy, right? Wouldn't it all be better if we all stayed healthy and didn't get sick in the first place? And so it's something where in Western medicine it's much more symptomatic, so we tend to go to the doctor when we're already sick. Who goes to the doctor when you're healthy and asks, how can you keep me healthy? You go when you're sick, but a lot has happened between that stage. Usually in most diseases, a lot of has happened to get to the symptomatic stage, and where this is what why Ayurveda really appealed to me, is that it really focuses on all these stages before you get to the symptoms. So you can prevent those symptoms in the first place. And that's and that's not to say there's not a role for allopathic, and if people feel more comfortable with that, then that's all good too. And allopathic is very much I think it's brilliant for emergency, right? I didn't see, for example, in Ayurveda there's a lot of emergency, or there is that knowledge, but who wants to try it when someone's having a heart attack, right? Or we'll just experiment with this ancient medicine, see if it works. You might die, but so and it's allopathic medicine is much more set up for that, got the infrastructure, got things to deal with that. So for me, it's like I would probably rather go, if it was an emergency, I'd probably likely go to an allopathic medicine than I would to an Ayurveda.
Yeah, definitely. Like we might consider having a mix, because Ayurveda is more of a long-term thing, that you build your immunity over a long period of time, or something that will prevent, just like you mentioned, prevent the occurrence of any kind of a disease. But once a disease is there, once you are unwell, then yes, maybe you should definitely go for allopathy, which is especially during emergencies, just like you mentioned right now.
Yeah, and I think the two can complement each other and combine, right? Ayurveda's not really very necessarily, like, you can't follow allopathic if you don't follow Ayurveda. It's more a case of talking to your doctors and agreeing what's the best path, and feeling intuitively for yourself what resonates with you as well. I think in healthcare, the patients themselves are underutilized as a resource. We don't tend not to think of ourselves as a big resource, and asking ourselves the question and seeing what we can do for ourselves, which ties in as well with like preventive medicine.
So you have left your corporate job and you have joined a wellness company. So 11 years of a corporate job. So why did you think of leaving that and joining this wellness company?
Yeah, so I get asked this question quite a bit, and so I had 11 years, couple of years in telecoms, 9 years in banking in the city, and whilst there were aspects of my role that I really, really enjoyed, I worked more on kind of change management, process improvement, or creating new systems and processes. I really enjoyed that part. I found the culture somewhat challenging at times. I wasn't convinced that was really adding the value that I kind of wanted to, and also my own physical and mental health was kind of deteriorating, and I was really struggling to keep going in my daily life. And when I decided to leave my job and to leave London, I didn't really know where I was going, and all I knew was that I couldn't go on like this, and something had to change. And I also felt that change couldn't happen in the environment that I was in. Plus, I'd always wanted to go traveling. Really always wanted to travel the world, and really I've been there is a bit of a culture of, if you've got a job, you stay in your job, and and you save, and then you get the house, and then you get the good career and good money, and then you're happy. And I was following this path, and I had a good career, I had a good job.
Yeah.
I was fortunate in that I did work with some amazing people. I've made some lifelong friends out of it, but I was dying inside. I felt like I was dying inside, and I knew something had to change. So that's.
So you left your job, and you basically were traveling, and then you visited India, where you learned all about Ayurveda. Is that so?
Yeah, and yes, I had a year before I went to Ayurveda, and I was traveling around Central and South America, feeling even more lost than before, to be honest. I was like, I've made the change, everything's going to drop in, right? It's going to be so simple. That didn't happen. And also after the first year, I was like, my health hasn't even improved very much. I'm not in this stressful corporate life that I thought was the issue. I'm out of it for a year, and I was still very tired, lethargic, felt like I was dragging my heels through life. It's difficult to describe. I found thinking very hard. It was a lot of effort. And after a year, when I discovered Ayurveda and went over to India, it was only then when I took the Panchakarma treatments. So Panchakarma are the series of treatments there are a series of treatments that you take to help root out the causes of the diseases in your body. And I remember after the first 7 days of those intense treatments, and I felt like I'd just come back down to earth, and a fog had lifted over my brain. Don't ask me how this all happens. It's amazing, you take some medicines, have some treatments, and all of a sudden everything starts changing, and that the fog started lifting, and I was like, this is how normal people think in everyday life. Wow. So thinking is so much easier now. And I didn't realize that, this was all even there. And I started to feel a lot more grounded. My body became a lot more flexible. So some of the postures in yoga I've been practicing, for about 9 months, I'm trying to change my life. I'm going to practice yoga every day. And all of a sudden I was getting so much more flexible, every day. And I was like, oh, wow, it's like loosening up my body as well, probably because it's got rid of all the crap that's in my body. That's what it's doing. It's detoxing. It's getting rid of all the crap in my body. And, it was, I didn't realize. Yeah.
That is what happens when we are so much into our job, our career. We are so focused in, working all the time, that we forget about our bodies, our mental health, our physical health, and then we make something out of it, and then we wonder, what to do now? We need to fix this. This happens a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And I had no awareness that there was anything particularly wrong. To give you a very physical example, so as I was studying Ayurveda, Dr. Sundara said, take your pulse every morning when you get up. And when I started studying, before I took the treatments, I was I wake up and be about 95 to 100 beats per minute as a natural waking state, so quite an anxious state. After about a week to 10 days of treatments, my resting rate came down to about 60 beats per minute.
Wow.
That's like 30 beats per minute I've been doing for God knows how many years of my life. No wonder my body was really struggling. That's like a third extra effort it's going to actually do. And I had no awareness around this. And this is why this is what sort of opened my eyes. I was like, I just wasn't conscious of this, and I wasn't doing the basic things of listening to myself, even just taking your pulse, such a basic physical thing that you can relate to. I never really sort of tuned in until that point. And then I started to understand, like, this is why you listen to your body, listening to your emotions. And, it starts with those physical things like your pulse. When you're eating, did that food like make me feel good or not? And just, tuning in a little bit more. And so, yeah, really opened my eyes to why that's so important.
That's really wonderful. I mean, having the awareness finally is so wonderful. It's such a liberating feeling, I believe.
Yeah, it is. And it does open a can of worms, right? Because once you start noticing things going on, like once I started noticing unhelpful patterns, unhelpful behaviors that weren't conducive to good health, I started becoming aware of how much I comfort eat. And then it opened another question, because of like, but I need the food for comfort. What am I going to do without this food? Like, what's going to take its place? And really, I clung on for quite some time. I was afraid to let myself move into that space. So it opened up like, oh, and so now I'm feeling fearful, but it sort of opens up different things. And so it can feel, for me, in the beginning, because I was still like clinging on to these ideas that I need comfort food. And don't get me wrong, I sometimes still reach for the chocolate. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm completely, cured of this. But I began to notice it more and more. And after a while, it becomes quite uncomfortable to sit in this place where I kind of notice what I'm doing and I'm doing it. And then it's like, okay, so why is it I'm doing it? What, and then it sort of started, in some sort of the triggers of why I'm doing it. And then it's like a process, and it's snowboarding. And the thing that I learned was it's really, allowing that space to come in. I was very fearful, of letting go of some of these habits and unhelpful things, because I was like, well, what's gonna take its place? What's gonna be there? So it's letting go of that. Yeah. So it's really a process for me. So that my time at the clinic really it triggered that. It was I guess you could say an awakening time in that sense, in beginning that process of listening to myself and tuning in.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. So now you are absolutely healthy. Now you feel far, far better than what you were a few years back, right?
Yeah, my energy levels are so much better. I sleep a lot better. My stomach, especially in the last 6 months, has recovered massively. So even when I took the Ayurveda treatments, it still took another 1.5 to 2 years for my stomach to really heal. And in the last 6 months, especially, I've been starting to be able to eat wheat again, which I hadn't been able to eat for about 8-9 years. And I wouldn't say everything's 100%. I'd say I still have a little bit of work to do. In a sense, in a nice kind way. Okay. But yeah, my health is better, and so many of the like little niggling diseases that I kept getting, like infections. I used to get bodily infections like every month, every other month, and I'll be on antibiotics. And thankfully, touch wood, since those Ayurveda treatments, I've not needed antibiotics once. Or any kind of sort of medicine, like that. So that's amazing in itself. That's kind of a sense of freedom in itself.
Definitely. And finally, you have written down a book, right? Which I introduced right in the beginning. So please, I was so excited to know about this, but yes, I wouldn't get onto that topic so soon. So I was delaying that. But now is the time for your book. So let us hear more on that. What inspired
Yeah.
you to write down that book? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm so excited for my new book. I still can't believe it's actually happening. So because it's all quite sort of, it's happening slowly yet quickly at the same time. So it's called The Whole Human: Integrating Wellness in Modern Life, and it's really taking a look at kind of what we've been describing here about wellness as a holistic, root cause, preventive, whole sense, and integrating it into our daily lives, and integrating it as we are right now. Not who we want to be in 10 years or anything like that, as we are right now. And it looks at the individual level, and I also take a look at the more society level. So okay, this is what, to me, my perspective, what well-being really means. So how can it be supported at the collective level, particularly in healthcare, in businesses? I think more businesses are moving towards it, this idea that every business is a wellness business, really, in some sense, because it's got humans in it. So, and if humans need to feel healthy in order to run the business, right, and to do their jobs in the business.
Yes.
And also in education. So yeah, I'm really excited. I've interviewed some amazing people with some very different ideas as well, and bringing them all together. And and it's still in process. So I launched the campaign for pre-orders about, I think by the time this goes live, about a week ago. And the actual book will be published in December, where I get to sign copies, and I'm really excited to do that. Sometimes I have to pinch myself. I'm like, wow, is this really happening? Because it's like an art, it's a piece of artwork, and I'm excited and scared to share it with the world.
So that's so wonderful. Like, we'll get to know so much on Ayurveda, your experience about wellness, well-being, and this is a lot. I'm so excited to read your book. Like, I would love to read your book. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and it was really kicked off with Ayurveda. Really, that's what really kind of opened my eyes and started me on the journey. So there is a section about that in a little bit more detail in my book. So yeah, I'm excited to share that part as well.
Wow, that's great. That was so wonderful talking to you, Luna. We learned so much about well-being, about Ayurveda, about your journey, how you were introduced to Ayurveda, and now you are doing such an amazing job. You're living a healthy life, and you have inspired so many others through your story that, yes, work is one thing, but taking care of one's body, taking care of one's mental health is as important. So thanks a lot for sharing your insight.
Thanks. Yeah, because I think it's, if you don't take care of your health, it catches up with you. I sort of plodded on. I tried to keep going until I hit a wall and I couldn't go on. And it's not a great point to get to when you've hit that wall where you can't get on. And if people, I think with a lot more awareness of what's going on for yourself, and we can really prevent people from getting to that point in the first place, so that we can lead healthier, happier, more stable lives, really.
Absolutely true. So thanks a lot for sharing all of that. So if you want to get in touch with Luna, please go and check out the description box. All her social links are there in the description box, and of course her campaign link is also there in the description box. So definitely go and check that out. So that's all for today. Signing off from Share It with Ishani. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.